Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Doug from Eminent Performance, and you may notice during this particular podcast that there is no video. Instead of our ugly mugs, you're just seeing the Eminent Waste of Time logo. That's because our Eminent Waste of Camera decided it was not going to record tonight, so you get an audio-only treat. We apologize for that, and we are going to get a better camera and banish this one to a future bonfire or some such fitting demise. But thanks for hanging with us. Enjoy the show, and we'll be back next time with actual video for you.
Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Small pond, big pond, the fish are the only difference. City out of harmony, lingering on the dissonance. Fishermen wrapping up citizens with their fishing nets. Sometimes chemicals, some played old imprisonment.
Eminent Waste of Time, Episode 10. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And we promised you a Thanksgiving show. Well, I don't want to say it was a promise exactly, but I hinted that we might do one, and then Thanksgiving happened.
And we failed.
So now it's the week after Thanksgiving. In fact, by the time you hear this, it will be December 1st. So we're going to be well into the holiday season, and I'm not going to say out of the writing season because it never really ends.
Right. But, well, while we're talking about Thanksgiving, how was your Thanksgiving? Tell us about yours.
Well, I'm glad it's over.
Me too.
So Wednesday I got out of work. They let us out an hour early. I drove immediately 2.5, 3 hours north up to my parents' house to meet my wife and kids who were already up there. And then we spent the night there. We got ready Thanksgiving morning. We did Thanksgiving at 1 o'clock on Thanksgiving Day. And then we had to truck over to my in-laws' house and do Thanksgiving again at 5 o'clock on the same day. No time for a food coma, but the real kicker was we were actually spending the night with my parents again. So after a second Thanksgiving dinner, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, I had to go about 40 minutes back to my parents' house.
Just to crash.
Got up Friday morning, went to the orthodontist, got my next set of Invisalign, which some of you may know I'm wearing right now. So I got the orthodontist appointment out of the way because I started it up there, and you can't transfer it. If you you basically just pay for the whole thing over again if you start with a different orthodontist.
Start over. No, thank you.
And at $4,600, I wasn't super interested.
No.
So I got that done, drove back here, picked up some furniture we bought along the way, and then spent the entire rest of the weekend with you laying down flooring in my house.
Yeah, I remember that part.
So yeah. Thanksgiving, normally, honestly, it's my favorite holiday, just because it's the family and everybody's together. There's no kids squabbling over presents because there's no presents involved. It's just a really good get together. But this year, in an effort to get this house done, it just wasn't fun. It was something I had to get through because I wanted to see my family, but I could not waste a 4-day weekend. There's just no way I could justify the time.
Yep. No, I completely understand that. Well, I'll give you the quick rundown on mine. You already kind of told them what I did the second half of the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
I was working on your house. But I had a coworker ask me, and I'll say it the same way I told him. I said, there was lots of food, poor life choices were made, regrets were had, and then I did it again the next day because I don't learn my lesson. So
that's Thanksgiving in a nutshell.
Yeah, pretty much. I ate too much. I regretted it. I didn't learn. The next day I ate too much, and I regretted it again. And I'll do it next year, I'm sure.
Well, I hope everybody out there listening and watching had a good Thanksgiving, and hopefully a lot of you guys took the opportunity and got some riding in that weekend and had some fun above and beyond just the food coma. But we're back. We've got this episode here, and then next week we're going to be doing another one, and that's going to be right before we go to PRI.
Yep, that'll just be a couple days before PRI show. I'm really looking forward to PRI.
And I'm hopeful we can do some YouTube live stuff. The only thing I don't know is because it's kind of I don't want to say trade secrets type of show, but it's a limited show.
It's a private show.
I don't know how kosher they're going to be about us filming there. Like audio might be okay, but I don't know if they're going to let us do a YouTube live from there or not. So we'll have to feel that out. I don't want my first venture at PRI to be a half hour and then I get expelled and my credentials revoked.
Our Facebook Live thing is us getting escorted out by security guards or something.
Over the years, we probably, if Facebook Live was a thing, we would have had a lot of those.
Oh, yeah. I've been kicked out of nicer places than that.
So we've definitely got that coming up, but it's good to be back, and we're in the double-digit episodes now, which I'm pretty excited about. Honestly, I'm still amazed and I'm floored that everybody out there is enjoying this as much as they are, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback, and I'm sure there's people out there grumbling and that hate it, but that means we're doing something right. If everybody likes the show, then there's probably something wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, I have same thing. I'm floored that all you guys like it as much as you do. I mean, I'm glad you do. We're going to go on doing it anyway, but yeah, I mean, I've had people tell me both in person and message on Facebook saying that, man, they just really enjoy it and, keep doing it and, they love it. So, yeah, it floors me, but hey, we'll keep doing it. And like we say at the end of every episode, definitely give us your suggestions, questions, comments, whatever you got. But no, I'm thrilled you guys are all enjoying it. So, yeah.
Midstream level adjustment.
Yeah, Doug was making changes to the board.
This is the production value you get on a show with a really high budget like ours.
Yeah, none. I mean,
none whatsoever.
It's whatever we can pull out of the wallet to make it work. I mean, what you guys don't see behind the camera is like my welding bench right now. I call it mine. It's in Doug's barn, but it's my welding bench because I'm working on it.
You're building stuff.
Yeah, and it's got like welders and tools, and it's a mess right now because I just have not had time to clean it. And the soundboard is just sitting on top of like tools and all kinds of other stuff, sawdust and things. Oh, it's bad, but.
What you get is real. This show, believe it or not, this show is not scripted.
Yeah.
I know that will totally blow all of your minds.
All in one take, too. You get to see all the screw-ups and mistakes that we make.
I think that's been the most interesting part for me is when we first started talking about doing this, and I kind of bounced the idea off of you, really more as a joke than anything else. I was trying to figure out how in the world we're going to fill even 15 or 20 minutes. And then we did the first one. It was a little better than a half hour. And then we realized a half hour is pretty easy. Then we were trying to keep it to a half hour.
Yeah.
And then you fools out there in internet land said you wanted an hour. So we're going to do our best to give you around that. I'm not going to, stretch it out if it starts getting awkward. But
I think we're just going to say we're not going to try and limit it to the half hour.
No, I'm not going to close the door at 31 minutes.
Doug was always the one reining us in. He was like, well, we're getting to that time.
I'm the one of the crew here that has to keep things in order. That is my part of Eminent Performance. If I just let you run wild, it'll be
wild is
literally a tire fire.
Very good, yeah. For those of you that don't know us personally, that really is like the way it works between us. Like everybody has that one friend. I'm that one friend, apparently. Like
I sent you a some e-card one time that described our relationship perfectly.
Yeah, what did it say?
It said, we're friends. You laugh, I laugh. You cry, I cry. You jump off a bridge, I jump in my canoe and come save your sorry butt or something along those lines.
Really, that's the way it works.
Yeah.
I am not afraid to do anything. Try anything, a dare or whatever. And also, I'm not afraid to just jump in and do something that I've never done before. I'm not saying it always works out. I'm just saying I'm not afraid to take a chance.
And I'm usually the one saying, let's research that a little bit before we jump in. I very rarely outright say no, but I'm usually like, let's take a look at the rocks before we jump on them.
No, I think I can make it.
It'll be fine.
I think that's one of my sayings I say all the time. It'll be fine.
So I figured we'd start the show off with, I won't say we had witty banter, so that's how we started that off, with just banter.
Yeah. We talk.
Robert Higbee, once again, our famous question asker. And Robert, honestly, really appreciate the questions because it gives us good stuff to talk about. Says, we've got, here's a couple of questions. Your thoughts on what you guys think are the best overall tires. Not what we bought for your race rig. What you bought would be very, very good for
in the
Moab.
Desert. Yes.
Like rocks, that kind of stuff. Because they're really heavy. What, they're 8-ply?
Yes, they are an 8-ply.
They weigh more than I do.
Oh, yeah, they're heavy.
They're really heavy tires. They don't flex. I think we're only running like 10 pounds in them.
Oh, I'm running less than that now. Yeah.
I can still jump up and down on them and they don't deflect.
So I'll tell you guys, I'll start by answering some of the question, and then I'll tell you what we're talking about. So I really like ITP tires. I've had really good luck with them over the years. I know a lot of people like the Bighorns. I've ran a couple sets, and they weren't bad tires. They didn't last as long. Punctures were a thing. I just didn't like them as much as the ITP.
Now, is that fewer plies or just a softer compound?
I think it's a little of both. Well, it's fewer plies than what we have, but if I'm remembering right, and it's been several years since I ran the Bighorns, they are, I'm wanting to say they're 4-ply, but they could be a 6 by now. But anyway, I just tend to like the ITP tires. You know, everyone just kind of picks a brand that they like, and that's the brand tire I tend to go towards. The tire we bought that Doug alluded to was crap for all around, and I fully agree was the ITP Baja Cross. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad tire.
No, it's really not. They're
It's just
super
a bad
durable.
tire for what we did with it.
Look at what we did. Look at how much stuff we hit this year, and those tires are gold.
Oh,
I
man,
mean,
the
they're
tires
fine.
are still holding up, but they are really heavy. They are 8-ply, and there's something like 20-something pounds a piece. They just weigh a ton.
The other thing is they have a very large tread block, so when you get in mud, they just turn into ice skates.
They skate. Yeah, they're horrible for it. And we have done everything I know of to make those tires flex more and bite more and everything else.
And they are better.
They're better, but it's still not great. I mean, like, so for those of you that don't know, I cut the blocks, the large tread blocks on them. I cut them in about half. And took the middle section out, and took about a third of them out basically, and left the two outside edges on the main tread blocks in the middle of the tread pattern, and that got better, but it still wasn't enough. So then I picked up a tire groover, and I started grooving the tires, and I took lines out of every tread block that was left even. So I shaved a bunch of weight off those suckers.
Yeah.
And they still don't really flex great. They definitely do better. But for next year, I'm probably just going to replace them. I mean, it is what it is.
Well, and part of that is we're looking at different rims anyways because we want to narrow the track. We're just really wide
too
and hanging
wide.
out there. For a light class UTV, being 60 inches wide is not an advantage.
We're
At least-
wider than some of the heavies that are out there.
Yeah. So we want to suck that in. We figured we can probably pretty easily get 4 inches.
Yeah. And we didn't go any wider than factory. I went with the standard offset rim, which is a 5+2, but that puts us at 60 inches wide, and some of the gaps were 59. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
But back to Robert's question about my favorite all-around tire. Like I said, I'm an ITP fan, and I really like the ITP Terracross, which is pretty similar to the Bighorn, but I always just had a little bit better luck with them. And I ran those on a Rhino, and also I ran them on a couple of machines. But, man, they did really well in the snow. Now, we don't get a lot of deep snow here, so, like, I know Robert Higbee is from up in Alaska, so they get real snow. We just kind of get a dusting, and everyone freaks out and, you know, runs to the grocery store.
Really, ice is the problem here.
Yeah, ice is a problem. And no tire but a studded tire does well on ice. It's just the nature of the beast. But the Terracrosses, they were 6-ply tires, so they weren't super heavy, but they were a heavy enough carcass that you didn't get punctures. They kind of have a similar tread block to the Bighorn. Like I said, it's a Chevron V kind of style. It's not straight bar across them, though, and it's a stagger. They did really well in dirt and trails like that. Mud, you know, it wasn't a dedicated mud tire. I wasn't expecting that. I'm not a mud guy anyway. I've talked about that in the past. But they did well in the mud that I was in. Rocks, they did great. Really, the thing that surprised me most about them was how well they did in the snow, because I figured they'd just not be all that great, but they actually did really well. So if I'm going to pick my favorite all-around tire, I'm going to say the ITP Terracross. I also don't go big size. I'd normally maybe will upsize one size from the factory. So, you know, on our current machine, it comes with 26s. I might go to 27s, or I just stay with 26s. I don't need a lot of ground clearance around here.
No, and honestly, around here, the way things play out, width is not your friend either. In fact, a
Yeah.
lot of the heavies are running what look like comically small tires, but they're the ones who are winning.
Yeah, a lot of those guys in the racing that are running the heavies, they're running like 6-inch wide wheels, and they're running a lot of them are running like 25x7 or 26x7.
Yeah, they're
tire.
not going big at all.
No, and they're running a kind of all-terrain tire, something similar to the funny thing is, the only guys that are running Bighorns, which are like the quote-unquote industry standard tire, are the guys that still have them on that are on factory wheels and just haven't changed. Nobody else is running them. I think they're just too puncture-prone, is my thought.
Yeah, so we're what else we seen out there? Much Maxxis. I can't remember what one. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen any like consistent Maxxis use. Like I see different tires from them, but it's not like
Yeah.
everybody's running one particular tire, which tells me nobody has nailed down that that's the brand or that's the style they want to use.
There's not really a consistent tire across all the UTVs that everyone was running. I think kind of like me, everyone just kind of finds a tire that they like and they stick with it.
Yeah. You know, Robert, I see you like your Sedona Ripsaws, and honestly, they're a great tire as well. I like the way they look.
Yeah.
I mean,
I still
I've
have
never
the
run 'em,
set
but-
of tires. The Ripsaws are an all-terrain tire.
Yeah.
I had and still have the Sedona Buzzsaws, like I've talked about in the past. I have a tire problem. I have many, many sets of tires and wheels.
Yes, you should open up a shop for a little while until you get rid of some of them.
Yeah. But I took my Sedona Buzzsaws and I put them on the quad that I used to track sweep. And I had one guy at the last race, Kurt, he was talking to me. He goes, "Man, those tires look great." I said, "Well, they are in a straight line, but anything off camber and they're horrible." And that's why I pulled them off my UTV, because that's what they were on originally. They're like a straight bar tractor design.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of a chevron to them, but the problem is there's nothing in between. So you have a row of tread block and then a wide open space and then another row of tread block. So if you get in the mud or anything loose, there's nothing to hold you from going sideways.
Yeah, it's
You
the
just
off-camber
slide.
part that's really bad. I mean, you get on a mud hill or something like that, and it's off camber, you are sliding, and you better be ready for it. Now, straight line, you're chucking mud and you're hooking up all day, but you're just sliding.
And you got to
sideways.
go look at some of Chad's pictures because they feature that ATV he was riding with those tires on there, and they're comically oversized.
Oh,
because
yeah.
That thing's a
420.
A 420.
It's a Honda 420 Rancher.
So it's the small Rancher.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's got the semi-automatic electronic shift transmission, no clutch. It's just push button, but you still have to shift it. And it's got these really oversized rims and tires on it. It looks like somebody's 1984 Chevy Caprice with, 26s on it.
Yep, it
Every time I
really
see it,
does.
that's what it reminds me of.
It looks like some ghetto machine that has just been like way overdone on the wheel department. It's got 14-inch wheels on it and 26x11s on the back and 26x9s on the front. I'm pretty sure what they are.
Yeah.
And for the four-wheeler, they just are like comically large. I had to put wheel spacers on the back to make the back ones fit because it rubbed the muffler.
And from the back, it looks like a tractor because of the relatively narrow but tall and then really sucked in tight because it's not a very wide ATV. It
Yep.
looks like a tractor from the back.
Yeah. It's just like
it's hard
all
to
tire
miss.
in the back end.
Yeah,
it's funny.
hilarious.
But
it worked.
Well, the other tires that were on that thing, and the reason I did it is because they were the factory original tires on the 12-inch steel wheels, and nothing wrong with 12-inch steel wheels or anything else, but the tires were as old as a machine, and they were starting to dry rot, and they were getting hard, and they weren't gripping well, and I just had these sitting around, and I thought, you know what? They're better than
Oh yeah.
bald factory tires. And I didn't.
And this
Look at me! I didn't want to buy another set.
And this machine was a theft recovery. So for quite a while, the ignition mechanism was a toggle switch in the side of the front cover.
Yes. So like I've talked about, we have a family body shop, and we bought this quad as a theft recovery, and
It had no hours on it.
oh yeah, it was all but brand new. And we don't want to wait. Like, I need to order it. It had the ignition cut and punched on it and everything else. So I didn't want to wait. So I'm like, I have a toggle switch in my toolbox.
Problem solved.
I'll just wire it in there. So we literally drove it like that for like 3 years.
Because it never left the property.
Right. It just stayed there. And we didn't, like, the headlights didn't work or anything. And we just kind of figured, man, whatever. I mean, you know, we didn't really drive it at night anyway. We had UTVs and everything else we could drive. But we didn't worry about it. Well, then I'm like, okay, we're going to take it to use to track sweep. I need to put an actual key on it so no one, like, drives off with it, I guess. So I just order an ignition switch.
Now, see, that I'm going to back you up because that's not what you told me. You're like, I can't go around having people think I stole this thing.
Oh, that. I didn't want them thinking I stole it.
Because if they started digging into your past.
They might, yeah. So come to find out, the ignition switch with 2 keys was a grand total of $9. Like the toggle switch and the wiring.
Whoa, big spender.
Well, the toggle switch and wiring was nearly that much that I pulled out of my toolbox. If I would have known that, I would have ordered it long
No, you wouldn't
ago.
have, because like you said, it was the waiting. It wasn't the price.
Well, yeah, good point. So then I hooked the real ignition up and put it on. The headlights work. Like, we thought they were just broken all these years. Nope, they work fine. We just didn't have the ignition on it to pass the power on to
That was the missing port. Yeah.
Whatever. we do dumb things sometimes, and, you know, you just do it because it works. Whatever. I'm not fixing it any more than it needs to be.
So I think the answer to this question is the best tires are the ones you like the best. We happen to be ITP fans, but honestly, it really kind of comes down to 2 things: price point and driving style.
Yeah. Well, and the train that you're going to drive the most in. I mean, if I live across the street from a sand dune, paddle tires. I would have paddle tires on it all the time, I'm sure, because that's what I would be using it for. If I was, we'll say, down in Louisiana or something, and it was swamp down there, and I was around that area, I would have mud tires because that's what I need. Around here, we mostly have like clay, and we call it sand, but it's not like soft dune sand. It's a sandy loam is what it's called. But trail tires are what we kind of use around here, and we have a little bit of rock. So an all-terrain, all-purpose tire, and I just tend to like I said, the ITPs.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with any of the other brands. I've just been doing this long enough that Sedona wasn't really around when I started, so I never really took a big liking to them in the beginning because they weren't there. Bighorn, they were out, but whatever.
Well, I need to get some new tires for Big Red back there, so maybe I'll experiment and get crazy.
I might have some that fitted. I don't know.
You probably do. I probably better get the paddles off. And the tires that came with that quad were, I think they stole them off of somebody's 40-year-old John Deere.
Oh, yeah.
They look like straight up just square block turf tires.
Yeah.
They're junk.
Are they still sitting at my house?
Quite probably.
Okay, yeah. In my other stacks of tires.
I'm looking around. I'm trying to stay near the mic. I'm trying to remember. Nah, I think they are at your house.
Probably. So, yeah. Well, that kind of answers that question for you, Robert, I hope.
And your other question was, what do you guys think is the best factory trail machine?
Okay, now I'm gonna raise question with this one.
I'm really curious to see what you say.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna raise a question with this first. As what do you classify as a trail machine?
I'm going to assume he means 50-inch wide.
Okay, because I was gonna say you can call it a lot of the 50-inch wide are called trail. So if that's what we're gonna go by. I have not ridden in the Can-Am, but I really like Can-Am stuff. I just so like it. I would consider the Wolverine a trail machine. That's kind of what it's made for, but it's not in that 50-inch category.
No, it's closer, and you could probably make it into one. I mean, you could narrow it up in theory at least a little bit. Not much. I mean, that's kind of is what it is.
Right. So excluding the Wolverine and just we'll say, Robert, and if we're butchering your question, I'm sorry, but we'll say anything that's like in the 50-inch category. So that really just puts you down to, in the UTV world, you got the Can-Am and you got the Razor.
And the CF Moto.
And yeah, CF Moto makes a trail. And I have been in one of those. And while I do like the CF Moto, I do not like the trail. It just rides very stiff.
There's no suspension on that thing.
they didn't. Sorry, CF Moto, you didn't do a good job translating from the EX, which is the full width version, to the Trail. It just didn't come out as good, in my opinion.
You mean you can't just cut the A arms down and call it good?
No, it didn't work well.
Okay.
So I'm going to say a very stupid statement. I like the one I've never ridden in. I like.
See, that's what I was curious about. I was like, is he going to go Can-Am? Is he going to do it again? Because I'm totally going with the Razor.
Are you? The Razor's a great machine.
There's a ton of aftermarket support for it. I mean, parts are literally hanging from the trees and laying all over the place. I mean, you can make the machine whatever you want, and the Can-Am may totally be better in every conceivable way, but on paper they're so stinking close it doesn't matter.
I agree.
And they've been around so long, I think you're hard pressed, being as the trail market isn't as big of a market. People want wider, bigger, better, faster. I mean, if I was going to go plunk down money today, I'd get the Razor.
I can't argue that. There's no argument to that from me. I mean, I think that's a valid, good choice. I personally just seem to like the Can-Am brand better.
I think the Maverick looks better, but I would have to drive. Well, we could go back up to Ziegler Motorsports and drive both because they have a track there. And you know what? This spring, when their track is open, we need to go back.
Yeah, they invited us back, so
maybe under the guise of buying something, even though we won't have any money.
I so want an X3, man. So the other day I was getting ready to put a post out on the Eminent Performance Facebook page, and the picture of me sitting in the X3 popped up. I'm like, oh, I need that.
Did you see your smile? Seriously,
I did.
You look like you just saw the world's cutest puppy. Like you were just butter.
I want it. It needs me.
You don't often make googly eyes at stuff.
No, I don't.
You don't like normal. I mean, we can go to a car show. We've gone to car show like Meekum before.
Yeah.
And you'll look at stuff that other people are fawning over and you're like, that's junk. Look at that body line. They didn't get that straight. And there's they didn't do this right. And I would have done that differently. Like, I mean, you'll tear apart $100,000 car.
Yeah.
And then you saw that X3 and that was it.
Oh, it is a driver's machine from sitting in it alone. It is just laid out well.
It is. It feels like it's I mean, the best I can describe it is if you're sitting in it, it feels like it's hugging you.
It does. You are fully wrapped in it, but you don't feel like you're confined either.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like, oh, it's tight and you feel like you're really tight in there. So, and I'll tell you guys like the struggle in my mind that I'm going through. I want an X3 so bad, but you can pick up a Yamaha YXZ for like half the price.
And that's what I'm talking to him about.
He's trying to talk sense into me, and I don't want to hear it.
Prime example, when we went up to Ziegler, they had YXZs that they're basically the ones that we were telling you about, the super high ropes course where they do the meeting and then they put, the guys who have no business being in a UTV and let them run the track.
Yeah, they crash them all the time.
So they've been beat on some, but honestly, everything you buy is usually a wreck of some sort. So that doesn't make you too leary about it.
Yeah, but these are wrecked multiple times. These are like, you better go into it knowing that.
But, he was talking about offloading them. They have almost no hours on them because they're really very, very lightly used for, like 12?
Well, they're not driven much. They are hard
They're very
used.
Okay, yeah.
So,
yeah, they are hard hours.
We all know, imagine this scenario. You have people who work in an office normally, and their boss wants to take them to this team building exercise, and it's these people that don't really drive a car well, and then you put them in something that's fast and can roll over and jumps and whatever, and like they wreck them all the time. The guy said like, oh yeah, it's not uncommon. It's part of it. So.
I really want... They probably don't record video because they don't want to shame anybody, but I really want to just go up there. I'm hoping when we go up, they're doing something like that because I just want to... Yeah. I want to see these people in action because then I can feel better about myself in the last race.
Did we talk about that one?
Oh, we talked about it more than I wanted to.
Yes, we did. Okay.
Yeah. I'm blaming your steering quickener and your crappy tires that hate the mud and my lack of driving skill.
It happens. I'm not upset.
I know you're not. And I'm laughing about it now because I was pretty pissed for about 2 weeks.
Yeah. You know what? It happens. It's a giant toy. We'll put it back together.
And the funny part is a couple people were like, well, are you worried he's going to be mad? Is that why you're upset? I'm like, I know Chad doesn't care. Like, that didn't even cross my mind. Mad at me.
Yeah. I mean, as much of a jerk as I normally am, I'm like, meh. Broken toy. Who cares?
Nah, you've always been that way about stuff because, again, we're just not afraid to put stuff back together.
Yeah. And hey, just so everybody knows, I got parts coming. She'll be back together probably next week. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So
speaking of parts, you've probably heard way more than you want to about our infamous tie rods.
Yeah.
They've created a little bit more of a stir than we originally wanted, and we are delaying the final ship date on those a little bit because we've identified something we want to correct before we send them. Again, we're making the parts that we would buy ourselves. And so we've identified a shortcoming, and we are eating into whatever meager profit we were going to make, and we are correcting said shortcoming. Yeah, I hope the laptop just went to sleep and not just killed us here. Please hold.
I'm going to log into it.
That is a really, really pretty thing there.
Not my
I'm going to
picture.
keep talking.
Windows.
I wish I was there, actually. It's like this really tropical scene with waves crashing against a rock, and it's not at all where we are. We're sitting in a pole barn in Indiana in 50-degree weather doing a show. Anyways, again, we're just correcting something. It's not really a structural deficiency. It's just you know what, this will look better if we do it this way. We don't want to give anybody any reason to question any part that we build, so we're pushing it back just a little bit, but I mean, not real long. We got parts on the way. We need to re-weld a couple things, repowder coat so they look all nice and pretty, and then we'll be shipping. All the other parts are here. So not a big deal. But that being said, those are going to be getting out the door, and I'm reasonably sure we're going to sell more than we made, so we'll probably have to do another run or two. But that kind of leads us into where do we go next? One of the things we've talked about was doing heavy-duty tie rods for the CF Motos because much like your beloved Wolverines and Vikings, it's a need in the market.
Yep.
So we may do a run of those, but then we're kind of into what do you guys want to see next? And that's what we'd love to get some feedback from, either on our webpage, Facebook, leave comments on YouTube. We check all that kind of stuff. So if you guys have ideas about something that's lacking in the market that you would like to see, we'd be interested. We've actually got a one-off job that we're looking at doing right now for somebody's custom machine, but we're really looking for more of something that, okay, there's more than one of you that wants this thing. I mean, don't be afraid to express your interest in a part, but don't be completely upset if we go, yeah, but you're the only one.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about several things, and like I said before, I have a list of things that we can start building, but just because it's in my head that everyone wants it doesn't mean it is actually what everybody wants.
Because we've talked about some other stuff that's not like a performance part. It's a nice accessory. Like we've looked at building a cooler rack that would go into the bed, and we've kind of tossed around some ideas for how that might come out. Got a place to keep your cooler and your tools and strap everything down, make it kind of the ultimate, multi-day
Maybe it has dry storage also because,
that's one thing we've talked a lot about. And a spare tire carrier.
Everybody likes dry storage. Nobody has a place to carry a spare tire if you're out on a trip or something like that. And if you guys are hearing this and you're like, I would buy that, definitely let us know. And also maybe we'll push that further to the front of the line. I don't know.
And give us in the comments too, give us an idea of what you would be willing to pay for such a thing. Because Chad and I have discussed this, and my design was more foolproof, but more expensive. And we're kind of of the mindset, we want to make something that we don't have to mess with later. We want to make something that we can offer you either a lifetime or ridiculously long warranty on, because we stand behind the product. But that means we're going to make it how we think it should be built. And if how we think it should be built is way too expensive, like you're thinking you want this and you want to pay $150, but the reality is it's going to cost us $200 to build it a way we feel comfortable with, we're going to skip it. So kind of give us an idea if you were looking at a specific part, like a really awesome dry storage / cooler rack / spare tire carrier assembly thing for your UTV. Give us an idea of a price range you'd be willing to pay for a really nice one, not some piece of junk like Harbor Freight would make, but a nice unit. And that kind of helps guide us in what we're going to build next and what we're going to do.
Right, because like I was telling Doug, I mean, I can build something, but that does not mean the market will bear the price that it would take to sell it. And I'm not saying like we're making a fortune on it. I'm just saying, parts are expensive. Metal is expensive. Welders and welding gases and everything, it just all adds up.
And we're not in a position yet where we're buying like a large company who's getting substantial discounts and that kind of stuff. I mean, we're basically getting retail
pricing, and that's one of the things we hope to address when we go to PRI next week, the end of next week. I want to get in with a couple of places that I can get better pricing. Man, it makes it cheaper for you guys when we start trying to figure in what our costs are and everything else. So, but
and I am perfectly willing to abuse Chad and push the savings onto you.
He does.
Just so you're clear.
I am not getting paid by the hour to figure things out or weld anything or know how to do things.
We're not getting paid at all.
I'm not making any money. I'm just like, okay, I'm telling my wife, I'm going to work on parts. And she's like, when are you going to make money at this? I don't know. Going on.
That'll be a nice side effect down the road, I think. But
I hope. Gosh.
Well,
I've spent a ton.
It's like anything. I mean, it takes a while to get off the ground, and it's time on weekends and evenings. And
right.
You have spent a ton, and I haven't spent as much as you, but I did get you a nice building.
Yes, you did.
So we'll count that.
I'm not warm, though. I demand heat.
Well, actually, if you look over my right shoulder, there is a barrel back there, but there's a bunch of junk you can't see over here off camera that's kind of in the way of said barrel.
Doug's house stuff's still in my way.
Yeah, so that's why we're trying to get wood flooring done. We're just... We're like standing in the middle of a ring of fire right now, and there pretty much is no good way out.
I'm beating the flames back with like a gas can is what I feel like. That's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, I told you today, I'm just sick of being tired all the time because it's just work from 6 a.m. till 9, 10 o'clock at night. Try and grab a few hours of sleep, start over. And but I know in a few months it's all going to be behind me.
Keep telling yourself that, buddy.
Well, at least I'll have a house that's functional. I don't know about the rest of everything
I understand
else.
what you're saying, and I'm sure a lot of the guys listening agree because they've been through probably the same thing or near the same thing, but you're living in it daily. And I'm sure a lot of guys, like I said, have been too, where they're remodeling their house or they're just moving in, and they're living in a house in like complete disarray, and it's a construction zone. I'm not, fortunately. So, but basically all the spare time that I have that I'm either not in the shop here having to get something done or, dealing with my family or work or whatever else I got going on, I come over here and I'm helping at Doug's house. And so,
which is greatly appreciated.
Yeah, you're abusing me and I know it. I'm just too dumb to do anything about it.
To be fair, I haven't asked you to come over once. You just show up with tools. So.
Well, I'm a glutton for punishment. Let's put it that way.
I know. You're a good friend is what you are. But
let's get back to UTV stuff. They don't want to hear us complain.
This is real. This is our lives. Okay, yeah, let's keep moving on. So let's talk about Matt Lauer. No, we're not talking about that.
No, gosh. He got fired and whatever, and I don't care.
I don't care either. Cruise control for UTV. What is that about?
Okay. So today, I think it was today, or sometime this week anyway, it was announced that an aftermarket company, is coming out with a cruise control, just like a car, for a UTV.
My initial reaction is that is the dumbest thing I could think.
That is exactly what I thought.
Why would you want that? Under what circumstance are you just like, I'm going to set the throttle at 40% and stay there?
Take a guess at the price.
Okay, okay, I need some background. Is it an electronic unit? Is it adjust the fuel injection and the throttle plate automatically, or is this just like a stick in the against the pedal, more akin to that?
It is.
How fancy is it?
It is an electronic box that mounts. They showed it under the dash, and you push to set the. It's think of it like a throttle lock on the line or on the butterfly or wherever it actually sits.
Okay, so it's kind of like a cruise control from a 1980s car. It basically pulls on the throttle cable and adjusts the butterfly valve.
I don't know that it adjusts, if you start slowing down, I don't know that, say you set it at 30 miles an hour. I don't know that as you go up the hill, it applies more throttle to keep you at 30 miles.
So this is just like a throttle lock.
I'm pretty sure. Now, there was not a whole lot of detail.
This is relatively low tech.
Yes. I mean, it's electronic, so it's not a stick jammed in between the seat and the throttle pedal, but
it's an electronic version of the same.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to shoot high because I think this is going to be... I just have that feeling. $599.
$1,000.
Shut up.
Yep.
What?
Yep.
I thought at $599 I was way high.
Nope.
I know what Eminent's building next. Because, okay, my background is more electronics.
Doug could build this in like a night, probably, I'm
with
sure.
stuff I have laying around here.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
So it is $1,000, and they have an add-on for it. Now, it costs more money.
Of course.
If you want to put like a throttle limit where, kid can only go so fast.
It's like a valet key.
Yeah, basically. Guess the price on that one. It's an add-on, so,
It's an add-on. Another $300?
$400.
Oh, jeez. That's all kinds of special. I
will say, I want to keep this segment short because I don't think there's a lot here.
If you're living on a farm out in the middle of Nebraska and you own 18,000 acres and it's flat and you just kind of want to go from one end to the other,
use
sure.
a truck.
Okay.
Use the truck.
Okay, I was just trying to think of the example, and that's the one I could think of was just this long, steady crawl across something. But I guess part of it is I'm used to racing and like hard woods driving. It's just on the throttle, off the throttle, on the throttle, off the throttle.
Yeah,
I mean,
when we race,
constant.
it's either full throttle or off the throttle, and you're on the brakes.
It's like
for
an
all you
on-off
got.
switch, basically.
But even like trail riding, there is absolutely zero scenario where I would want to lock that throttle ever.
That'd be terrifying. Can you imagine it not letting go? Like there's no interlock where you hit the brakes, and so you hit the brakes and it's still wanting to go 60% or whatever you have it set at.
And I will assume that it does have an interlock where when you hit the brakes, it lets go. But I don't know that. There wasn't a whole lot of detail.
What happens if it doesn't work? I mean, this thing isn't tested.
Insurance claim?
I mean, I guarantee you this thing is not tested like the government forces Ford to test their cruise control.
No. This is somebody's made this, and, that's fine.
I wish them well. I just think the price point is
I think the
ludicrous.
price point, and I think the number of people who actually will want it and use it is microscopically small.
True.
But like Doug said, I wish you guys the best in your business. If you're listening, I won't be a customer though, unfortunately. So that's about as much legs as that little news clip it had. But
I didn't see the article. All I saw was the note on there. You wanted to talk about it. I'm like, that seems insane. But maybe there's a good story behind this.
Nope, no good story.
There's not.
I was more shocked by the price than anything. Moving on.
And next, what else do we got on the list here? We've got the leaked. Okay, there's a Can-Am thing on the list.
Yay!
It's almost like Chad made this list.
Maybe I did.
So
Maybe I didn't.
The leaked Can-Am 2018 X3 XMR and XRS.
Yes. So I'm sure a lot of you guys have probably seen it, but for those who have not, Can-Am, they say leaked. Who knows if it was on purpose or not? I'm not going to get into that because it doesn't matter. Whatever. So
strategic marketing leak.
Yeah, it could be. But the 2018 XMR, the Can-Am X3 XMR, got quote unquote leaked, and the X3 XRS also got leaked, both in 2-seater and 4-seater configuration. Now, they say they got leaked. 90% of the machine, there's no major difference.
No.
I mean, the Turbo R for the XMR one is 172 horsepower. It's a monster. 72 inches wide. That's the same. Nothing big. They did give it a little more ground clearance. It's got 15 inches of ground clearance. The intake and CVT intake, both of those, and exhaust, they were all raised. So, it's a factory-built mud machine is what it is.
30 now, is that still the basically fluid-coupled front?
Oh, the Visco lock is what they called it. It wasn't actually fluid coupled. It was just called the Visco lock.
Yeah.
That I'll get there momentarily.
Okay.
So they're 30-inch tires, and they're a more mud-based aggressive tire. Beadlock wheels on it. What else? Oh, the price is $26,000. Nothing amazing. But they now, and this is all X3s from what I can tell from the leaked things that I've seen, they now come with what they call Smart Lock instead of the Visco lock.
Oh, you did write that on there.
Yeah, it's the next thing.
I was just showing how smart I was.
Uh-huh. So I don't know if they're calling it Visco lock with Smart Lock or they're replacing Visco lock with the Smart Lock thing. But what it is it's the four-wheel drive system that we've all wanted in a Can-Am for all eternity. It's no longer 3-wheel drive. It is now you can fully lock the front diff from the factory. It's the same thing the Halo lockers did that you could buy aftermarket.
But you don't have to do it aftermarket. You can just buy this sucker.
Right.
And for $26,000, you should be able to buy it with that.
Well, that is the fully loaded. That's the XMR Turbo R. It's the big dog.
I'm not complaining about the price. I'm just saying for that kind of money, it should have that.
Right. The X3, they're making a 900 one also. The Can-Am is. I believe that's what I saw. And I think it's made to compete with the Polaris, like the one that Ryan Hart drives. Ryan, he races with us in the series. Like the trail model 900s and 1000s. It's meant to compete with that as well.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So nothing earth-shattering to it. It was, put out there like, oh, it was leaked, like it was a big deal. In my opinion, it's not a big deal. The only thing that I really, really like is the smart lock is now on all of them from what I can see, and it's no longer 3-wheel drive. That really fixes it for me.
You were dead to me because you don't like the turbo part.
No, I like the turbo part, and I want a turbo one. But what I'm saying is the big downfall of Can-Am, the thing that everybody always griped about,
was the Visco lock.
They called them 3-wheel drive, and
Yeah.
essentially they were. I'm not arguing that. That was the one major letdown. Now, for most people, and even trail riders, it really didn't matter. It didn't change anything unless you got on a big hill that was real nasty.
Well, no, and it wasn't like it was an open differential where just the wheel that didn't have traction slipped. I mean, it would
shift back and forth.
It would shift back and forth. So it wasn't just like an open diff in the front, which is what some people were thinking. But if you needed to get up a big hill or through mud and you needed it locked front, back, and everything
all
together,
locked, yeah, it wouldn't do it.
You weren't getting that.
No. So I'm sorry, Doug. I'm a Can-Am person, I know, but to me, it's made the Can-Am even more loving.
Oh, come on! Like it needed to be more attractive, anyways.
No, but it got better.
The hottest girl at the bar just got even hotter.
Yes, she did.
Well, there is some competition out there. Okay, they're not going to be in the same.
It's not competition.
No, it's not. But we have to mention our beloved CF Moto.
Yes.
So the Z10.
So
Concept.
It's a concept one. It's one that it floated around the internet about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I'm going to say. Very futuristic looking body panels and headlights.
It looks like they think it's electric.
Yeah.
Like that's the best way I can describe it. If you pictured a UTV being electric, that's what this looks like.
I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound bad, but I mean it in a very good way. Imagine if you took a UTV and hoisted it up by the front bumper and put it in front of like a very high heat source, and it started to melt down and back, and everything got droopy backwards, like swoopy fast looking. That's kind of what they did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It doesn't look like it's been on fire. I'm not saying that. But
no, and it's got
because it's not a Polaris. I mean, those are all on fire.
It does have a few nice chiseled lines, though. But yeah, it is very just kind of pushed.
It's drawn back to make it look like it's going fast when it's sitting still.
Because it's down on horsepower.
No, it's really not. There's no real horsepower release numbers for those because it's concept. There's nothing to release.
If they're putting the same motor in it that they just jammed in the 800 to make it 1,000, it's going to be down on horsepower compared to the competition.
If it is. Now,
if it is. This thing could be turboed too. I mean, they haven't said anything about it really.
Well, they hinted at the fact that one was turboed. I'm saying it's probably not the exact same because on that one they don't have the same upper and lower A-arm suspension design like the 800 and 1000 currently do. It's a trailing arm like the Polaris is. So it's different. It's pretty much different all the way around. It didn't look like they robbed the parts bin that they currently had and just like stretched some things out and welded a bit on here or whatever.
I mean, they didn't go all Chrysler on it?
No. Well, and honestly, that's what they did to go from the Z-Force 800 to the Z-Force 1000. They really are just like, well, we have the frame and suspension sitting here. Let's punch out the motor a bit and look at that. She still fits. And,
problem solved.
That's kind of what they did. And that's my gripe with it is,
well, like I said several episodes ago, I think it's a placeholder until they get the Z10 out. They needed something in the market that was 1,000. So they did.
I agree. And maybe that's what the Z10 will end up being. I have a tendency to believe that the bodywork won't be quite as swoopy and,
No,
like
concept cars never look as good when they're done, and this probably will be more of the same, but who knows?
The back end, the bed, and the rear fenders very much remind me of the YXZ with the no rear tailgate thing at all. I mean, it's basically like open.
Yeah.
And very pointy fenders in the back. So I'm trying to kind of describe it to you guys so that you'll understand what it is.
Pointy fenders. Are you talking like wings from a 63 Cadillac?
It could be mistaken for the Batmobile, maybe. I don't know. So, no, that's kind of what it is. It is a neat looking machine. We'll see what it becomes when it's no longer a concept vehicle. So,
Man, we got through a ton of news tonight.
we
got nothing left for the next episode.
Oh, we'll come up with something. We got
more pedantic battling.
Yeah. Well, we can still do stupid stuff with Chad, and we still have trivia for Doug.
Oh boy, is this a new thing?
This is a new one.
I was looking at that. It just says random trivia, and I'm thinking, okay, what does this mean?
I have a guy texting me, but I'm ignoring him. Okay. This is random trivia for Doug because Doug is full of like music trivia information, and I'm.
Yeah, when we're working on the house together, I'm like, funny fact about this song.
Did you know this? I'm like, nope, didn't know. And not that I'm bored by it, because I actually like that kind of stuff. And my wife is always giving me grief because, like, I'm watching, like, the show How It's Made, and she's like, why do you care how a wheelbarrow's made? I'm like, I don't know, because it's awesome.
Maybe I want to make one day.
Yeah. So Doug's got all these trivia things. So I'm like, well, let's quiz Doug on trivia.
Oh, boy. I'm going to bomb this. I can feel it.
So these are not necessarily music. There may be music ones in there. Some of them are easy. Some of them are difficult.
Okay. Like Trivial Pursuit.
Yes. Mostly these are funny, though, and I find them very funny. So,
oh, boy.
Which animal is responsible for killing more people than plane crashes?
Hippopotamus.
The donkey.
The
donkey. I have no idea who's made these up, but I'm believing that their answers are true.
Seriously.
That's what it says.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you define, like, because they are used in a lot of third world countries, and
if people fall off, is the donkey responsible?
Yes,
if
the donkey throws you off a cliff, then
donkey killed you. So one wrong for Doug.
But do you know that hippos kill more people annually than sharks by like a really, really wide margin?
See, look, Doug with his facts and information again.
They're they look like big and dopey.
Yeah,
they're actually really fast, and they are hyper territorially aggressive, and they have a mouth that's like the size of a car. They literally just
chomp you. Yep. Hungry hippo. Okay, moving on. Number 2.
Okay.
What are the only animals that are not able to jump?
Elephant.
Very good. Did you know that one or did you guess?
I had to search the memory banks, but I actually knew that one.
Yeah, very good. Okay. You'll never get this one, and that's why I like it.
Nice.
How many bricks are in the Empire State Building?
Oh, Lord.
It's not like to the exact number. It's a rounded number.
More than 10.
Yes, but that's not an acceptable answer.
Okay. 1,863,215.
10 million.
Man, I was low.
Yes, you were.
Of course, they're probably talking like interior and just
I'm
everywhere.
Sure they are. All the bricks, yes.
Yeah. 10. Wow.
10 million.
Dude. That is a huge building, though.
You're learning stuff. Look at this.
I've never even seen it in person, so.
Nah, I haven't.
That's
either.
going. There we go. Now, this will like recharge me for the next useless trivia thing I have to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Name the largest freshwater lake in the world.
Largest freshwater lake.
Freshwater lake.
By surface area or volume?
It didn't say.
Oh.
Yes.
I don't honestly know. By volume, I'd say it's probably Lake Superior, but...
Is that your final answer,
yes.
sir? You are right.
Yes.
Man, he is good at guessing.
Lake Superior actually has enough water in it. You could fit all the other Great Lakes in it, and I think it's 2 or 3 more Lake Eries.
Look at this guy full of information.
Because it's so deep.
Yeah, I know. It's very deep. Okay. What is another word for a lexicon?
Concordance?
Dictionary.
Dictionary.
You're wrong.
Crap.
Or fecal matter is another word for crap.
What? Oh.
What is the diameter of the Earth? And this is rounded. It is not an exact number also.
Diameter. Well, it's about 24,000 miles at the equator. That's the circumference. So, I can't do the math in my head. I don't know. I give
8,000 miles.
I was gonna.
I told you.
Pi 3.14. Yeah, so it would be because it's about 24,000 miles in circumference.
See.
Dang it! I was thinking 8,000 and I didn't say it because I didn't want to be wrong.
Well, you were wrong anyway. Wrong.
I was wrong and I was right. Dang it!
Okay, we've only got a few more here. On average, how much time does a human spend on the toilet? Their whole life.
Their whole life?
Over their whole life.
Man, I know people that could be measured in like decades, but
yeah. I assume they're averaging women and men.
Let's say 1.3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of your life.
Dude,
How much am I wasting sitting here talking to you?
More than 3 years, guaranteed. I've seen people that spend like whole days at work on the toilet.
That seems really high.
No. Quick
3 years.
Quick funny thing with Chad. I went to at my previous job, I was at work, and I actually had a contractor who was working for me come in and say, I think a dude's dead in the bathroom. And I was like, what? He goes, no, seriously, a guy's dead in there, I think. And I said, why do you say that? And he goes, well, I went in there to use the bathroom, and I left, and I noticed that this guy had these odd-looking shoes. So I left, and like 2 hours later, he says, I come back again, same shoes are there. Hasn't moved. Didn't think much of it. So then he got thinking about it after he left the bathroom the second time, goes back in the third time, shoes are still there. This is like over a course of 4 hours.
Okay.
The dude literally fell asleep on the toilet and spending all day in there.
Nice.
So 3 years is not unreasonable from what I've seen in this world.
Yeah, I suppose. That's depressing, though. I want my life back.
Yeah.
I'm a third of the way through my life. Well, more than that, but that means I've spent probably a year and change already.
I
kind of want that back now.
I don't think you can get it back.
Okay.
Okay.
What else you got?
What is absent in Las Vegas casinos?
Common sense.
No, that's absent amongst the populace in general.
At large.
Yes.
Okay. Like this is a physical item that is not on casino floors.
Yes.
I don't know, but let me guess. Casinos. What would you not see in a casino? Water fountains?
No. Clocks.
Oh, yeah. They don't want you thinking about how long you've been there.
People knowing or thinking about how long they have been spending money there. So
that totally makes sense,
Yep.
actually.
Okay, 2 more. The October Revolution is celebrated in which month in Russia? I said some are easy, some are hard.
October?
Wrong, it's in November.
Freaking Russians.
I laughed at that one. It was hilarious, and I knew.
That's like one of those when was the War of 1812 questions.
Yes, it is. Okay, last one.
So why?
Well, I don't have any idea.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know what it is, but I was like, okay, whatever, it's funny.
Wow. Okay.
What do you call a group of frogs? Like if they were a whole bunch of them, you know.
A passel.
A passel? No, it is an army.
Is it an army of frogs?
Is it an army of frogs?
You know what you call a group of crows?
A murder.
Yes.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorite things. Why did we come up with weird
What do you call a group of baboons? Like this is the literal thing.
shoemakers?
No. That's close. That's not all of them. That's just
okay.
a group of baboons that happen to be shoemakers. No, a group of baboons is actually called a congress.
That is extremely fitting.
Yes, it is.
I think we might be better off if we actually had a Congress
red-butted,
Congress
red-faced.
throwing crap at each other.
Yes, they do.
This doesn't sound a whole lot different than Congress.
Nope, pretty much it.
So do you call it like is a bunch of silverback gorillas and a Senate?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Don't you insult gorillas like that.
Okay, so I didn't do great at those, but
Okay.
I do have a lot of useless trivia, but now I have even more.
Yes.
Sucker.
You actually did pretty good. I was surprised because it's not like you were...
I'm ticked off. I should have said 8,000 on the Earth because I'm doing the math. I'm like, well, it's 24,000. Yeah, I should have just done it.
Yep. You should have said it.
Always go with your gut.
No answer is not going to get you a right answer.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay. What?
Well, we did a dumb things with Chad, stupid stuff with Chad, whatever. I don't know. I'm going to change it every time, but it has the same flavor.
Yeah.
We did the one about Trucker's pants on fire,
Yes,
but then
we did.
I don't think it made the show because we had to re-record the show.
No, we did that one. We didn't do the Daytona, the egg burns.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll do that one.
We'll do egg burns. So I went down to Daytona Biketoberfest is where I was. I don't think it was Bike Week that time, with a friend. And man, it was this crappy motel. I'll try and describe it. What was that one called? I think it was called the Remington Inn.
Ooh.
Yeah. We were in room, I think it was 318, but it was on the second floor. Figured that one out.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Like the October Revolution.
Yes, clearly. The first door at the top of the stairs had a big boot print and like 6 bullet holes through it. There were rats running around, cockroaches everywhere. This place was a pit. It was nasty.
If you wanted to empty all of the... I know it went to sleep, but we know it's working.
Okay, whatever.
If you wanted to empty all of the women out of a hotel like that, all you'd have to do is walk down the hallway and go, "Where is she?" Like, I guarantee you, they'd all be gone.
Yeah.
It was one of those places, wasn't it?
It really is something like you guys see in a movie. Like the pool had, 8 inches of water in it or something. And it was all green at the bottom.
Oh, geez.
It was just a pit. But anyway, but it was the only hotel we could get for Bike Week or Biketoberfest. I think it was Biketoberfest. Because it was 30 miles outside of Orlando. Or not.
And if you don't make reservations like 9 months
Daytona.
in advance.
Yeah.
Forget it.
It was 30 miles outside of Daytona, and it was like all we could get. So whatever.
So, crappy hotel.
But they had a
Got your
continental breakfast.
Got your friend there with you.
Yeah. So it was...
Not me.
No, not Doug. It was a different guy. And it was him and another kid who was younger than me even, and I was pretty young at the time even. But we go downstairs to the continental breakfast in the morning, and they have, the typical... They got waffles, they got... hard-boiled eggs and bagels and stuff like that. It's nothing amazing, but it's food. It won't kill me.
Maybe.
Hopefully. So anyway, I'm going for the waffles because I think I've never heard of anyone getting waffle poisoning.
That's fair.
Solid logic.
Yeah.
And in a place like this, survival is what you're going for.
Exactly.
Never heard of waffle poisoning. I think I can make it. So the younger kid who was with us, he decided to go for the hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah, what could possibly go wrong with eggs?
Right.
Sure.
So he didn't want a cold hard-boiled egg. So he's like, "Oh, look, the microwave. I'll stick it in the microwave for X number of seconds."
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah, he did this. So he
Here's
sticks
some trivia, kids. Don't put hard-boiled eggs in the microwave.
So it's still got the shell on it. It's not like the peeled ones,
Yeah.
They really don't take care of you at the Remington Inn. It's like, fend for yourself, suckers. The roaches may get breakfast for you before you if you don't get down here in a hurry. So he puts it in the microwave for X number of seconds, and I'm watching him and like thinking, I asked him, I said, "Are you sure you want to microwave that egg?" He goes, "Yeah, I do it all the time. It's fine." Okay, whatever. And, I get my waffle and I sit down and I'm eating my waffle, and he comes over with his hard-boiled egg and he picks up his spoon that he's got and he's going to, crack the little shell open. He goes on the egg with the spoon. He goes, tink, tink. And then he goes, boom, right in his face. And all of a sudden, it's like hot egg spatter grenade goes off in his face. And he's a big dude, too. He's got to be 6'5", and, I don't know, he's 260, 270. He's a big kid.
Yeah.
Just grabbing his face, screaming bloody murder, rolling on the ground, going, "My eyes!" Because the burning egg had gone into his eyes. And there's like these old people sitting there, eating their grapefruits and whatnot. And this big dude screaming, "My eyes, it burns!"
Nobody's
rolling
batting an
around.
eye, are they?
No one even gets up. Like, I'm like,
This isn't even the weirdest thing they've seen this morning.
No, not at all, I'm sure. And, I'm sitting there, I'm like,
man.
what do you do for burning egg in someone's eyes? This is a situation I'm ill prepared for.
You keep eating your waffles. That's what you do.
Yeah, I kind of thought I needed more butter, but I didn't quite grab enough. But whatever. So, no, he ended up being okay. Sight was fully restored after mere hours. And
Wow.
yeah,
That was worth it.
It was humorous because I even questioned him. I'm like, I don't think you should microwave hard-boiled eggs.
No, my gut reaction was if you've ever peeled a hard-boiled egg, there's always like that little flat spot. So that means there's a little tiny air pocket.
Yeah, and air expands and it gets under pressure and
kaboom. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Translation, first time, thought I'd try it now.
Yeah. So he got egg burns in his eyes, and that was funny. Even now, it's hilarious.
And on that bombshell, oh wait, the BBC might sue us if we say that.
Yeah. There's one more funny thing Doug and I saw this week. We're at Rural King. You remember that kid who works there?
What? Okay, I'm blanking now.
So we're sitting there and we had to pick up some tools, and Rural King is like my favorite store because you can get good things or you can get crap. But whatever, we were picking up some good tools anyway. And this kid who works there is walking by pushing a cart with batteries in it. He remembered right then. And I don't mean like AA batteries. He's got like deep cycle.
We're talking car batteries here.
Batteries.
Yeah.
So the cart weighs a lot. And he's just trucking on through there like, life's grand. And this kid's loving his life at working at Rural King. And full on at faster than a normal walking pace with the cart right in front of him, slams right into one of those big steel posts that comes up out of the ground to support the building. And just like runs his hips right into the push bar.
Oh, just slams this thing.
And I thought it was going to collapse right there. And Doug and I both are like looking in that straight at him when he does it. And I'm like trying not to laugh. And he's like doubled over wincing.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was gone, man. I thought he knocked the wind out of himself and he was going down.
He was sitting there going, I think he said something like, that's stupid or something. I don't know.
We're like, yeah, it really is.
So we just kind of like look around and, I'm trying to figure out how do you make an exit from this situation? I mean, do you just say, excuse me, sir, can you roll and writhe in pain a little further that way so I can get out of the aisle here?
He kind of hoists himself back up in the cart and mumbles something and continues on his journey. And
at a much slower pace.
And Chad says exactly what I'm thinking. Nelson from The Simpsons. Like that's all I could think in my head, and you actually did it as he's walking away.
I did it loud enough. I'm sure he heard it too.
Okay, it's an entertaining show. We never said we were good people.
I lack that filter between my brain and my mouth that most people have where they're like, you shouldn't say that. It might hurt someone's feelings and they could be emotionally scarred for forever. I'm like, my brain's thinking it. It should clearly come out into the open. And Nelson from The Simpsons with the ha-ha comes out.
It was extremely fitting. Yeah.
It was exactly what it needed.
Yes,
not what he
was.
needed, what we needed.
Yes. Because it was in the middle of a very busy, crappy day other than that. So it was worth it.
So that's not even stupid stories with Chad. That's stupid stories with Doug and Chad.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of those coming up too.
I told Doug the other day, and then we'll end, I promise. Like, if you guys just get out and do stuff, you will have these dumb stories. It's not me who's necessarily doing all the dumb things. I'm just like out in public enough that the population is retarded out there.
7.5 billion people on this planet.
And most of them are idiots.
There's stuff.
Yeah.
It's not accurate, but I like to think of it this way. Some comedian said this because think about the dumbest person you know. Half the population's dumber than them. I'm like,
that's probably about right.
I'm like, well, that's disappointing, but possibly accurate.
Yep.
Well, we do want to say a big thank you to our sponsors. Of course, thank you so much, Watch Communications. And in case you don't know, Watch Communications not only hosts our podcast and hosts our webpage, but they are a wireless internet service provider that provides service here in Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, part of Wisconsin. So if you live out in the sticks and you need internet access, go ahead and look up Watch Communications. You can head to Eminent Performance and find a link there as well. But they are a big sponsor in providing us the means to get this garbage out to you. Also want to say thanks to TGM Off-Road, Colby Valve Stems, and of course UTV-doors.com. Really appreciate the help. When you guys started sponsoring us, you didn't intend on us doing a podcast, but you are along for the ride, and for better or worse, because the internet never forgets, your names are now permanently associated with ours.
So I'm sorry for any bad press I bring you.
So anyways, again, we're going to do one more show before we go out to PRI, and then we are going to have a show that I really want to record some of the bits out there. Maybe we'll kind of weave them into the normal podcast.
I think
we'll bring you some neat stuff from PRI, and then we're going to be getting closer to the holidays, but we've got some fun topics lined up for that as well. So we're going to keep cranking these bad boys out about once a week. We've already lied about that, but we're going to continue to try and do it anyways.
We'll try.
So thanks for riding along.
Thanks, everybody.
Screwing up. Tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.